Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the podcast Strikes Back. My name is George and you're listening to the weekly movie show with the boys Connor.
Hello.
And Benny.
Hello there.
Guys, thanks so much for tuning in this week. What the hell? Peter Jackson is joining Amazon's Lord of the Rings or DC. We've also got a teaser trailer for Shane Black's The Predator, which we'll be discussing later on in trailer time. And we've also got some first reactions for Solo, which premiered yesterday. But first, fellas, lovely to see your beautiful faces.
Thank
Love
you.
tea.
Love tea.
How's everyone doing? What's everyone been watching? Talk to me. Connor?
Okay.
Talk to me. You normally go for it first.
You switch
grab.
week to week. One week you're like keeping track.
It's been very strictly regimented
Yeah,
lately.
you gotta,
I'm afraid
pick
to say.
Strictly unregimented. Here's the tally.
Yeah. I haven't watched too much this week. Been fairly busy, but I have had a chance to watch The Mummy, the old Brendan Fraser 90s one.
You've been really busy, but you've watched that.
Yeah. Well, it's it was a lot of people were talking about it. God, what mid last year when the new Tom Cruise Mummy was coming out. A lot of people talked about it
like it was the best thing ever.
like it was the best thing ever, and you know, I think that there was a bit of a filter of nostalgia around that one. And I saw it come up. I think it was on iTunes, and I was like, you know what? It's pretty cheap. Fuck it, I'll give it a whirl, see if it holds up to my expectations. I'll say that the graphics are wonky as shit.
No doubt.
As only kind of like a mid-range budget 90s film could be.
It's got that 90s texturing,
Sheen,
whatever that is.
Yeah, it looks a lot better than the second one too.
Oh, at certain
Scorpion
spots.
King.
Yeah, the Scorpion King was horrific. But yeah, the acting is cheesy. But I think everyone kind of hit it on the nose when they said that it has this kind of inescapable charm about it that the new one just kind of missed. I tend to agree with that. It's fun in ways that a lot of modern movies aren't. It doesn't take itself seriously. It's just a fun film that I'm happy to like chuck on.
Nice.
Yeah.
The mummy looks like Billy Zane, so that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that just kind of where it knows what it is, and it just executed it pretty damn well for the time. I think it's put on a pedestal. I think people weirdly last year it really got thrown into the conversations, and nobody really talked about the Mummy before. I feel like it's become a lot more prominent, and Brendan Fraser as well. I feel like people
there's
want
a lot
to
of
come back from that guy.
Fraser, let's just get that because people are probably screaming at the TV, right?
Is it not Fraser?
It's not Fraser because that's Fraser's Fraser. Fraser Crane is Fraser.
Crane?
He's Brendan Fraser.
Damn.
Yeah.
Sorry,
He's had a rough road over the past 2 decades. Let's at least get that right.
He's had a lot of public sympathy in the last
I like
couple
Frasier.
years.
It's a good show. Yeah, I like it too.
Niles, man, what a guy.
Let's talk about that for a while.
So I just it was nice.
I've always been a Stephen Sommers apologist until last year when everyone was like, no, this is the best movie ever. I'm like, okay, I'm not that much of an apologist.
Everyone kind of went beyond you. And you're like, okay, let's just take a step back. But yeah, I think it was just because I get why people were hyping up the old Mummy so much. It's because I feel like the new one was so in the opposite direction and left everything that made it like a good film and a fun film that people were like, no.
And because they saw that one when they were 8.
Yeah, that too.
Therefore, like, this is great.
Benny, what have you been watching, man?
Hey, man.
Hey.
I've had a busy week. I only had time to chuck on The Mummy Returns, starring The Rock as the Scorpion King. Because I know my priorities. No, I'm
going to watch that one next. I am.
It's fun too. I caught up on a couple episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., as I want to do. I was very keen to see these ones because these... I had kind of heard in advance have a slight tie-in to Infinity War, which I was very eager to see where they went with that on this show. And
how was it a direct tie-in?
Yeah, it was like
Really?
it hasn't fully tied in yet. There's still a few episodes left in the season, and I'm really interested to see where they go with it. But at this point, the
But
plot,
you felt the connective tissue there.
no, the plot just completely pivots. Like they're doing one thing, and then suddenly the
Suddenly
antagonist.
they're like, Infinity War.
No, seriously. Suddenly let me speak. Fuck. Suddenly the antagonist is like, fuck, we're out of here. Thanos is coming. Like just straight up, like Thanos the Destroyer is on his way. Fuck you guys, you're all fucked. We're out of here. And I'm like, awesome.
Carlson, we gotta go, man.
Yeah, it's so good.
That's fantastic. I love how, like, you know, in a small setting, you know, that becomes so relevant. You're like, oh, this is actual stakes here. Like, what were we doing?
That's the thing. This season is about the world ending, time travel, and an alien invasion. And the alien invasion shows up, and they're just like, no shit, bye.
Sounds like Cloverfield Paradox.
It's really good.
That's cool because there was a sense of urgency when Thanos came in Infinity War, and that's cool that they've tapped into that and given that abrupt feeling. You know, he's coming, man. We gotta figure this out.
Whole ass.
Yeah. So I can't wait for the rest of the season, which could very well be the last one.
Nice.
And supposedly
not nice. That
yeah,
it's
fuck
ending,
you.
nice that you're looking
Nice
forward
to
to
finally
it.
getting
Like,
rid
I'm
of that
happy
fucking
you're
show.
excited for it.
Supposedly the season finale could act as a series finale, so I assume everyone's just going to turn to dust or something.
Damn. Anything else?
That's all.
Cool.
No.
I watched last week. I watched Thor Ragnarok. This week
Nobody
I watched
asked,
it
George.
with the with the director's commentary on. Holy fuck, man! Taika
stuff.
Waititi is my hero.
Yeah.
That is the most bizarre and fantastical, incredible commentary I've ever heard.
Now
He's literally singing for the first 5 minutes.
Fuck, man.
And you're just like, this guy is just on another wavelength.
Yeah. Now, I don't want to be speaking for you, but I always found when I used to listen to commentaries a lot when I was like 14, there would be certain movies that were better with the commentary on. And I feel like this would be one of them just because Taika is so engaging and entertaining and interesting.
Yeah,
and this
man.
movie, you know, looks really nice in parts.
You could even listen to the commentary as a podcast. Like you could even kind of sit away from it and just let it run.
Did you get some insight into the scene that we talk about all the time, which is Odin's death scene? Like, did he kind of brush on, this is shit?
I can't
apologize for this.
specifically remember. I should go back.
Was he just vamping crazy nonsense?
Yeah,
the whole time?
literally, like the first 10 minutes is just amazing. Like, you guys got to check this out. Like, it is one of those bizarre commentaries. You know, most commentaries you've got Ridley Scott,
Ugh,
you know, wanking all over himself.
that's a dry commentary.
J.J. Abrams, his
Dry
commentaries are very bland. Like, he basically just describes what's on the screen. And this one, he actually, at the beginning, he says, most commentaries talk about just what's on screen. And I want this to be something different.
Yeah. I love Joss Whedon's commentaries as well.
I've never listened to any of his.
I listened to one a while back on Serenity, and loved it. He was
Very
a little bit,
self-effacing.
yeah, and he was also very kind of. It was cool because he did address what was on the screen, but like kind of talked about the nuances of, you know, particularly in that first I guess shot really, kind of going around in this long one shot, talking about how he was trying to bring together all these characters in a movie. And yeah, I love that kind of insight.
Yeah. So highly recommend this. Go check this out. We also watched Deadpool this week, so definitely go check out our Deadpool 1 review. Deadpool 2 is coming out next week. Crazy times. So it's time to catch up on that. We've also got a ton of events coming up. Podcast Strikes Back is jumping up on stage for Deadpool 2 midnight screening next Wednesday, May 16th at the Ritz Cinema. Come on down. It's going to be good fun. We've also got a solo midnight screening once again at the Ritz Cinema, Thursday, May 24th. Not too long, fellas. And next Saturday, we're taking a road trip down to Comic Gong. Come on down, say hey. We're going to be cruising around. It's going to be fun.
That's all.
That's about all.
Yeah.
And guys, don't forget that we've got so many reviews coming up. We've got Deadpool 2, Solo, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Jurassic World 2, Incredibles 2, Sicario
Skyscraper.
2, Skyscraper. There's so many movies coming up. So don't forget, we have 2 new episodes every week. Sunday on Apple Podcasts, Monday on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. And like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. Now, that's all the formalities out of the way. Man, we're busy boys.
Feel free to tweet at us as well. We don't have an account, but give it a go.
I think somebody else has the podcast Strikes Back. You remember Billy showed us that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like,
Really?
Yeah. And it's
Well,
like,
maybe they'd be
"That's
happy to
my
answer
name,
some
son.
questions for us.
It's my
They're
band.
going to be sued soon.
Benny, I think it's time to get into the news.
I think it is time to do some news, huh?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Bunch of stories this week. Number one, Disney. We thought the ink was dry, but Disney could be outbid by Comcast in the Fox deal.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
Outrageous. Connor, you can talk about this, I think, because
Yeah,
It's more your
so
area.
I think everyone was really excited or nervous or any number of like kind of strong emotion about Disney buying Fox. It would give them quite a stranglehold on the industry.
Is it monopolistic?
Well,
Potentially.
I believe they've been cleared, but almost ironically, Comcast was the one that had regulatory problems when they first bid. So this is not the first bid that they've done, or the first attempt that they've had at buying Fox, and I think they were pushed back by regulatory bodies the first time they went at it. So Disney has offered a $52 billion deal with shares, and Comcast has come in with, I believe, $60 billion cash. You still with us, Ben?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. The reason that this is interesting is because there's a lot of advantage in going with a cash deal. It's very enticing, and they've also included, like, I think a $2.5 million or $1 billion exit fee. Like, you know, if things get pushed back by some regulatory board, that there's a cancellation fee in it.
And they've offered significantly more, which is
$12 billion more.
good looking deal, yeah.
$8 billion.
$8 billion. Sorry. So that's just on face value. That's a lot of money.
So basically, Comcast is throwing in a cash deal, whilst Disney's was made up of cash and stock.
I believe it's almost all stock.
Okay.
It's good stock, though.
So because
seriously.
So put these figures into context, you know, 60 billion. I believe Disney bought Lucasfilm for $4 billion,
Wow.
and that was comprised of $2 billion cash, $2 billion in stocks and in Disney stocks and shares. So, you know, maybe it's going to be a 50% deal. Maybe it's maybe Disney's bid is more stock heavy. But as you said, that cash deal is way more enticing. Like that liquidity.
It can be because at the end of the day, cash is really easy to like figure out where you stand. Like it's just a really simple trade-off. You give me $60 billion in cash and I give you Fox. Buy or sell is really easy. If you're buying in stock, it means that they now have a vested interest in the risk that you are assuming by that company.
Yeah, right.
And that means that, you know, you're not just selling something to someone, you're selling something that you know needs to be successful for you to end up getting paid. And it can get really murky depending on how much of the stock that you've taken out of that company, because if you're selling a company, you can end up owning like a good chunk of the company that you've just sold. It's weird and it can be very murky.
And so you want it to go to the right kind of buyer. You want them to take what you have and do something great with it.
If you're a seller, you're assuming a lot of the risk in the transaction, or more risk than you are with a cash deal.
But you'd feel pretty safe with Disney, I assume. I mean, I believe Disney's stock went up pretty well when they announced the deal initially, so the deal got better as soon as they mentioned it.
Yeah. So it's a weird, like, it'll be interesting to see how they go with this. I can't help but feel like Disney is a safer bet, if nothing else but for brand value. I mean, Comcast is so like widely despised by so many people.
Let's step back from the economic side for a second. Do you guys have an opinion on where you'd like to see Fox, their properties go?
Easily, Disney.
I really want to see the X-Men in the MCU. Like, I've been thinking about that since our conversation last week, and you guys don't seem that keen on it. I'm just, the more I think about it, the more I am sold on this idea.
It's like not really interested at all.
Like, can you imagine the MCU splitting off into two very distinct parts? We've got the X-Men, and then you've got the other Earth heroes, Guardians of the Galaxy, whatever. And then maybe we even have 3 tiers. Maybe we have Earth, spaceship with Guardians of the Galaxy, and we have X-Men. And we can tie these in together with like Avengers 5 with all these people.
Not to get too much into like, you know, theories and predictions for what is held by the MCU, but the Russo brothers have kind of confirmed that they're not going to do it concurrently, like
Concurrently.
That Avengers is more or less over.
No,
The era of Avengers, they've said, is
No, I don't
coming to
think
an
so.
end. That's what they've said.
I have read differently this week.
Yeah.
I've read
And
that
I think
there
what
is
will-
potential for this not to be the last Avengers.
I think what will happen is that this will be the era of Avengers. This will end, and then they will try and build up a new franchise within the same world. And they might, have some connective tissue. They might keep some characters and all that. But I think the universe as we know it is coming towards an end, and they're going to try and build up a new wave of heroes. And I think that's a really smart way to go. I don't think it's a smart idea to try and split off their too severely split off franchises. I think that that's going to be too much to handle.
I think it's a great idea to do some kind of other team up movie that's not the Avengers and give it another kind of name, whatever that would be. But I just really want to see what Kevin Feige does with the X-Men. I want to see what that guy's interpretation on it. He was a producer on X-Men.
That's a lot more enticing than crossover.
Yeah.
That's a lot more enticing to me than the X-Men in the MCU. I would love to see what he could do,
With
just
those
starting a new
characters.
universe, essentially, basically an X-Men reboot.
But you could keep them very divided, and then only
I don't
crossover
want that.
at
I don't see it working
certain
because
No.
I love the mutant story about how they started developing in the 60s or something and appearing, and they've existed all throughout history. I don't like the idea of the MCU suddenly shoehorning that in as a new thing, or
As if they haven't done that before.
or them being like they were here the whole time.
Yeah, that's
and then being
I've
like,
done
oh,
that
and
so
we've
many
also
times
got the
before.
Inhuman. Not on this scale.
no.
Not,
What do you mean?
not-
In the universe of X-Men, it is a worldwide phenomena, and we've talked about this several times. One of the great things about X-Men is the racial parallels and the kind of.
But we never heard of
acceptance within
Wakanda before, and it's like there's Wakanda.
But that's
just
the whole
always
country.
existed there.
That's the whole point.
That's a small country that's.
that they're a
Of
secret.
course, but you guys can't tell me that they wouldn't do something like this and be like, maybe they could say the mutants were less common than they seem to appear to be in the Bryan Singer X-Men.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I don't like that. I like the idea that they exist and have done for a while.
Yeah.
And they're part of the world, and the world already has its
But
opinions on.
Having
on,
said that, I wouldn't be averse to seeing them start to sprinkle in X-Men characters and build a universe that's separate to that, very different. That I'm fine with. And if they have an
There's
X-Men
no way.
movie,
If let's be perfectly honest with each other, if Disney acquires Fox and X-Men are brought into the MCU, you guys can't tell me that they're going to keep those lines completely divided. There will be some crossover.
no, I can tell you that because there makes absolutely no sense.
So you honestly think that?
No, I think the options would be they would have a separate thing, they would keep the franchises separate, they would own them like Star Wars and the MCU, keep them separate, which I think could be an interesting idea for them to not put all their eggs in one basket, or they could, as you said, Connor, introduce a few characters like they did with Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, and these wouldn't be mutants; they'd just be MCU characters.
Yeah,
I could see Wolverine showing up because he's such a big deal. But
yeah, that's certainly one way they could do it.
Yeah.
I
I don't think
definitely-
they'd try and introduce a functioning mutant X-Men world into the already existing MCU.
yeah, that's not a good idea.
I'm just so hungry for that.
I know,
I'm
clearly.
so hungry
You're
for that.
sweating
This-
profusely.
This is one of the cases where you think you know what you want, but as soon as you get it, I guarantee you'd be disappointed.
No way, man.
Yeah.
No way.
That's
I don't
what
think so.
everyone says before they get disappointed. Be like, no, I definitely want this, and then they get it, and they're like, oh.
I can just see it working. And I can see the Kevin Feige's of the world coming in and doing something really cool with X-Men.
You consider yourself a Kevin Feige, don't you?
Yeah.
We're really
I'm the
getting
Kevin
down
Feige
to
I
the
of
can see
the
it
root
podcast
of
working. I know
strikes back.
exactly how to do it.
Yeah, we're getting down to the root of it. It's just utter arrogance on George's part. Be like, I could do it. Tap me in, Feige. I'm ready.
Because I'm just terribly bored with what Fox is doing with X-Men. And I
thought you were going to say
really-
with the MCU. I was like, well, that was quick.
No, I really love those characters. I really love the potential of that franchise.
So I think-
I wanted to go to somebody who has a vision, somebody who can do something
Okay.
really
Who has
cool
the
with it.
vision.
Fine. But that has nothing to do with
But
them
I-
bringing it into the MCU. That's
Of
completely
course it
different.
does, because look at Marvel's track record. Kevin Feige is the guy who's
No, but that's what we're
reshaped.
saying. That's what we're saying. Kevin Feige could do a separate continuity
Yeah.
for those
I
characters.
don't
And not
think
touch the
Disney
MCU.
would use that as a strategy.
Why? That makes no sense to.
They would
like,
they want it to be. They want this thing to be like this. Is
There
the
are
only,
undoubtedly people
this
that
is
are
the-
X-Men fans that aren't Avengers fans because they are very different films.
Very much so.
So why wouldn't he keep that market segmentation the way it is?
Listen, we should probably move on from this, but here's my take. They'll keep them fairly separate, like Guardians of the Galaxy was. Like that was very separate. It was very separate.
Yeah, but
up until
because it was in a different part of the universe.
Yeah, exactly.
Which
exactly.
Is a lot
you
easier
can
to
do that with tone. You can do that with many different ways. You can make them feel very separate, and then at strategic points, there's little crossovers here and there. But
there's a very big difference because like they're still on Earth. Guardians of the Galaxy can work, even though it had very strong connective tissue. And let's be honest, the tone was within the MCU far more than the tone of the X-Men films. So not only is the tone drastically different, but they could have them millions of light years away, whereas they would have to somehow shoehorn that in to an Earth where they are, like the continuities don't fit in together. They're very clearly different.
Is this time for a steak dinner?
Yes.
Is this time for a steak dinner?
2025, are we going to see Avengers 5 with the X-Men?
Okay, so we're saying you guys think there's no way they'll be in the MCU.
Getting in on this one.
There's no way they'll be in the MCU?
So you're saying the Bryan Singer universe
here's the conditions.
will not blend over apart from Deadpool.
No.
That's not what George is saying.
That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm struggling to keep up right now.
Have we been talking for 20 minutes about the different things here?
Yeah.
If Disney acquires Fox, you're saying the X-Men will not be integrated into the MCU, and I'm saying they will.
But you're not talking about
that's
the
what we're
current
saying.
X-Men.
Yeah, I'm not talking about
George
the
is not
current
talking about the
X-Men.
current.
Yeah, we have been arguing for the last 20 minutes about different things then.
Oh my God. Next story.
Got it.
Next story.
How does that like...
Jesus.
I was talking about what you were talking about, George. So
Thank God.
We don't have to make a bet on that. All right, story number 2. Let's argue on this for 25 minutes. Peter Jackson is reportedly deciding between a return to Middle-earth via Amazon's Lord of the Rings series or a DC superhero film.
Yeah.
Don't really know which one I want less. I don't know.
I'm going to say I definitely don't want Peter Jackson going back to Middle-earth.
Why?
That's it.
Why?
I think we've had 6 movies from the guy. I think we've seen that the last 3, i.e. the Hobbit films, really lacked gusto, really were not nearly to the level of the original Lord of the Rings. I think he's gassed out. I want to see some new...
Again,
I want to see a new interpretation. I think,
I think that's probably your most strong argument is to say that you want a new interpretation. It also depends because we don't have too much information on how this universe is going to fit into,
whether it's going to be the Silmarillion, whether it's going to be a rehash.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Where's it going to set?
We don't know how it's going to fit. And I think if it's far enough from the previous universe, I think then go for gold. Yeah, it really depends on the tone that they're going for. If they want it to fit in, I say get Jackson in.
Why?
I don't blame him for The Hobbit. I think that there were a lot of things that happened outside of his control. I don't think he was given enough time to do a good job. And I think it's really unfair to blame that on him.
I think you give him a lot of credit considering he hasn't made anything good since Return of the King.
Yeah.
In 2003.
But having said that, he made one of the greatest trilogies of the last, ever.
Not alone, though. He and everyone involved made it.
Well, then by the same token, you can't just blame him for the bad films.
I'm not just blaming him, but with George, I think some fresh blood would be a really good idea. I just can't imagine him going back to that level at this point.
Because basically what Amazon are doing here with this Lord of the Rings series is they're competing with Game of Thrones, right? That's basically what they're trying to do.
Totally.
And from what everyone says, like Game of Thrones is kind of a reaction to Tolkien. It's a person who grew up on Tolkien and has reinvented it. Would you agree with that? Game of Thrones is kind of like taking the Tolkien verse and flipping it on its head and giving it its own kind of life while still paying homage. And I don't know if it's a good strategy to get in Jackson, who was such a key component.
You're saying, just so I can clarify, you're saying Game of Thrones is...
From what everyone says, that George R.R. Martin was heavily influenced by Tolkien. And these novels, Game of Thrones, the series, like it's his kind of way of taking those ingredients of fantasy and giving his own kind of take on it, making it a lot more brutal, a lot more realistic.
The problem with...
and then like to now go and take a person so heavily involved in Tolkien like, and they're trying to do their own thing.
I see. I don't see the connection with
Thrones.
that. I mean, you
I
can
just
say
don't know
that
if
pretty
it's a good
much
idea.
any fantasy writer of the last 30 years or whatever, you could probably say has been greatly influenced by Tolkien. Like,
Could accurately say.
Yeah, I mean, like
But I don't think anything's had the profile that Game of Thrones has had.
As a book, or like the only reason
Just
Game
a
of Thrones is as
phenomenon.
big as it is because of the TV show. Very
Yeah, as a
clearly.
general
so it has
phenomenon.
nothing to do, I think, with the not nothing.
It has
to do with
nothing
the
to do with
books.
the books.
But I mean,
George
like,
R. R. Martin,
They only
you're
read
a
the
hack.
titles, actually.
Yeah.
The books are completely different.
But yeah, I'm confused as to what you're saying about like the connection between getting someone who's heavily invested in Tolkien to do a Tolkien.
Because they're
Series?
they've got to try and compete with Game of Thrones on this. Like, they've got to
But you're
do
saying
something
that
That's,
Game of
different.
Thrones-
that's all they want to do with this. They don't give a shit about Middle Earth or Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
But
They-
what you're saying is Game of Thrones was influenced by Tolkien.
Yeah.
So I'm confused as why you
I
think
just
that would
think
be a
the
bad idea
medium.
then.
I just think for the medium of, I don't think you want. Basically, what I'm saying is, I don't think you want to be tied down to somebody who has been so invested in Lord of the Rings so far. You need fresh blood. You need a new take. You need somebody who's going to be able to take what they did with Game of Thrones and do that for Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, because you don't want to make what they've done before with Lord of the Rings, because the world has moved on to a certain degree. With what's happened with Game of Thrones, people would be expecting something
fresher.
Yeah, like a kind of a newer take. And if we were just dealing with the same old stuff,
Yeah.
not to say that
I
stuff
think
is
I
good
think
or hasn't
Jackson's
aged
just
well,
too
but-
tied down.
It's a genuinely. I think it's really interesting because I think on one hand you're right. I think that fresh blood. Like I would have loved to see Del Toro do Hobbit. Like I think that would have been a really
killer.
good time.
That would
to
have
like,
saved it, man.
Yeah, I think that would have been a really good angle to take, and I think he would have had the time to do it well. But having said that, I think you might be underestimating, how many people enjoy Lord of the Rings for what it is. And I think if you try and make it Game of Thrones, it's not going to work. I don't think you can force Lord of the Rings to be that, because it's not. It's genuinely not.
But yeah, I agree. But it needs a freshen up. Like, you can't do this again. You can't do Two Towers again. It's got to be 2020, whenever this comes out. Has to feel current. Has to feel vital. If you get Jackson in,
But there's more
you're
ways to do
potentially
that.
setting it up to bring in too much old baggage. And
But I mean,
and
that's such a-
let's just bring in the DC. We haven't talked at all about the DC.
Yeah. Let's. jump onto that.
I think that would be cool. I'd rather see Jackson go to the DCEU, do
He's
something
certainly
there.
well suited to it. With a kind of he's CGI hungry, so
I'd rather see him go back to horror or something, but maybe he could do.
Could he do something horror based in the DCEU or
Yeah.
DC?
Yeah,
Whatever this is going to be.
yeah. If he were to do like the like Justice League Dark or something,
How
which
cool would
Del
that be?
Toro has been attached
Yeah.
to previously, that could be something more interesting. I'd like to, but again, I'd like to see him go way more small scale than he's been for a long time now, because his best work I feel like is well and truly behind him. But I'd like to see him try and recapture that. Like I love the Frighteners or something. I
Yeah.
think something on that level would be really
That'd
cool.
be great.
Yeah.
What was the last film that Peter Jackson did? He's doing that new one.
The
or at least
Hobbit.
producing.
trilogy.
The Battle of Five Armies.
Is he producing that one with a big
masterpiece.
house or city on
The
rolling
model,
cities?
the model engines.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wrote it and produced it.
Yeah.
Co-wrote it.
Because he also did a very similar thing with District 9.
Yep. So, Lord of the Rings or DC? What would you prefer?
I would be less annoyed by DC.
DC. Connor? Or would you prefer?
God, I don't even know.
Yeah.
I genuinely don't.
How come?
Lord of the Rings, I guess.
Lord of the Rings. Interesting. I'm
Because
so interested. You're the Lord of the Rings guy here, and it's interesting that you really want Jackson to hang around.
Well, it depends on what capacity he's hanging around in. Like, let's be honest. If it's a show, then
He'll
he's
be
not
an
going to be
executive producer.
yeah,
or
he's not
something.
gonna be
Direct the first
directing
episode.
every
he'll do the pilot or
episode or something.
something,
He's going
yeah.
to be writing it, and I think that that's where he holds a lot of his strength. Like him and his wife did one of the best adaptations of all time,
And one of the worst.
Yeah.
and one of the worst. Yes.
And three of the worst.
Yeah.
Oh, well, remains to be seen where Jackson is headed.
Yeah. That's a tough one.
I want him to go to the DCEU definitively.
Mm.
I'm
If
done.
what property
I'm
would you
done.
like him to tackle if he went to the DC?
Maybe
EU?
Green Lantern. I could definitely, as you said, he's very CG heavy. Like, I'd like to see what he does there. He
I would like to
loves.
see more use CG, more of that.
More CG.
More CG, Peter
He
Jackson,
wants
please.
every toy in his arsenal. You know, he wants every
Right up in his arsenal.
right up there.
Oh,
yeah.
Ben.
So that's where I'm at.
All right. Number 3. Oh God. Oh Jesus. Why is there so much blood?
Oh God, no.
You're supposed to talk when I do that.
I would have been if you hadn't stopped me. Number 3, Annette Bening is to join the MCU in Captain Marvel. Huge news, guys.
Big news.
Annette Bening is going to be in Captain Marvel. Does anyone have anything to say about it? I love Annette Bening, so this is cool.
All I wanted to say on this is that I think this really shows how desirable it is to be involved with Marvel. You know, like this is a big, like Annette Bening, that's a name that spans many, you know, she's been around for a long time.
Eons
Mum and
ago.
Dad know about her. Millennia.
In the beginning, there was Annette Bening.
Eons ago.
When the 9 rings of man were forged.
I can just see it, you know, like Wong doing is like, in the beginning, there were 5 stones.
One of them was Annette
One
Bening.
was Annette Bening. That's actually going to appear. She's going to appear as like one of the primordial forces of the universe.
She'll be the
But
seventh
she's
stone.
got clout, and I think it's interesting. You know, we had Robert Redford in The Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
you know,
no,
there's
we
some
were
big
watching
names.
Guardians of the Galaxy the other day, and Glenn Close is in that for 2 scenes. It's so weird.
Yeah, so I think it's just cool that Marvel, you know, they're the big guys. They're number one.
But even having said that, it's almost impossible not to be involved in the Marvel in some way. In the Marvel.
In the Marvel.
In the Marvel machine.
Amongst the Marvel.
I mean, their films are becoming like the biggest blockbusters ever, and like it's almost
dumb.
impossible to not have been in at least one film if you're a well-known actor.
I've been in 3.
Yeah,
DiCaprio, man, he's in so many Marvel films, eh?
Now you just poking a bear, man.
Mark Hamill.
Anyway, I can't wait to see how they. I can't wait.
2 actors that first come to my head. All right, let's go.
I can't wait to see how they waste her in Captain Marvel. Also,
that's exactly what's going to happen. She's going to be like
She's
extra
gonna be
5.
toast.
yeah. Another little dash of Marvel news. James Gunn has revealed Groot's final line in Avengers: Infinity War. It was, "I am Groot." Really brutal stuff. No.
Have you looked at this, George, yet?
I have.
I told you not to do it.
So yeah,
No, I did it.
What is it exactly?
I believe it's just Dad.
Dad, yeah. So he's saying "I am Groot" to Rocket Raccoon.
He goes, Dad?
And he's
Brutal, man.
Dad. Yeah. So
Papa?
So
kind
it
of
really
as
shows-
brutal as the Spider-Man scene. If you
But that, for me, I took that as like Baby Groot. He's got a new spirit. You know, he's grown up as Rocket, and he considers Rocket his dad.
Yeah.
Because James Gunn has also come out and said that old Groot is dead.
yeah,
And that this is a new...
Definitively
akin to
new
a son
being.
or a clone. Yeah. Not the same guy. Which would have been good to know when the original movie came out, because it would have given some weight to that.
fact- yeah, like, oh,
instead of him just being
dead.
back at the end and being like, "Oh, it's fine, never mind."
Yep. But brutal, man. Poor little Groot.
We're going to see a Q&A of Infinity War very shortly.
Yeah.
And I was thinking of a question I
We're
want to
going to
ask.
hang out with the Russo brothers for like 3 hours.
We're already talking spoilers, but skip ahead 30 seconds if you don't want to hear about this specifically. But I want to know if Thor's hammer's handle disappeared at the end because it was Groot.
Ooh.
I'm going to say
Interesting.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd say
I want to
no.
watch it again and see if we see the hammer actually after he takes it, after it falls out of...
The only reason I'm going to say no is
Because you like disagreeing.
Yeah, I'm contrarian. No, because when Groot dies in the first one, his branches are still around.
I think you're not thinking this through.
Yeah.
Because he didn't die from a Thanos finger snap in the first one. He didn't disintegrate. He just died.
Yeah, I feel like it's a dead.
Yeah,
it's dead.
It's
a
like
dead
the
branch.
branches are not part of him once they're gone.
it's not a
Is
living
my
part
point.
of him. But it's a good thought.
Well,
It's a good
because
thought.
what I was thinking, because like Winter Soldier's arm disappears with him, and that's like it's connected to him obviously, but it's not him.
Yeah,
And everyone's clothed. Yeah, I would love that because then Rocket could have it.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I just think it's an interesting thought.
That is interesting.
Because the
I didn't
parts
even
of
think
Groot
about
that existed after he died, they planted them and grew a new Groot.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking you could plant the handle and grow a new root shoot.
That's interesting.
Root shoot. Yeah.
That's
Anyway.
interesting.
Yeah. Now you're making me wig out. Like now I'm like, should they have disappeared and their clothes remained and sort of dropped to the ground? You know,
So they're all naked somewhere.
freaking out.
That's a
In the
party.
Soul Stone.
Oh God, it's cold in here. Alrighty, story number 4.
Annette Bening. To Sherlock Holmes.
Annette Bening to star in the DCEU. Sherlock Holmes 3. Now this is the Guy Ritchie series. Is back on track with a 2020 release date.
Very interesting. I guess we literally just talked about Sherlock Holmes last week.
Yeah.
What was the context there?
I cannot remember.
Yeah,
Benedict Cumberbatch and Robert Downey Jr. in Infinity War, both Sherlock Holmes.
Benedict
Oh, wow. There you go.
Cumberbatch.
That's
Cumberbund Bandersnatch.
Okay.
horrific.
Yep. Also, both of the Watsons are in the MCU as well.
Yeah, it's true.
It's been 8 years
Jude Law and
since
Martin Freeman.
Book of Shadows, 2011.
Wow.
By the time this comes out, there's going to be 9. Oh wait, no, it's 7 years.
7
Sorry,
years, yeah, so-
God.
But it's gonna be 8.
By the time this comes out, it's going to be 9 years
Quick
since that
maths.
film come out.
So
What? Like, do you think people want to see this?
I don't think anyone gave a shit about the second one, so I don't.
Yeah, I don't think
not
so
really.
either.
it did all right.
Oh, you did all right.
Yeah, but a movie that did all right 9 years ago is not really a crazy sell. But Robert Downey Jr. has always been the draw.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be there. I really enjoy those movies. As long as Hans Zimmer's involved, I'm in.
Yeah. We talked about this last week. I'm kind of a fan of those films. I think they're quirky and interesting and good films to just chuck on. Even the second one, which a lot of people give a lot of flack to. I don't think it's deserving of that much flack. I think it's a fine film.
I think it is fine.
It's a fine film.
Yeah, fine is the most charitable you could be to it. It's not very good at all, but I do like a lot of elements of it.
So both of these sitting at around 550 million box office, and they're both budget of around 100 million.
It's good return.
So that's pretty damn good return.
Mm.
It's interesting that Warner Brothers didn't pump this out faster. Like, what has made them wait around this long?
I would say Downey Jr. is too expensive and too busy.
Okay.
And Guy Ritchie's been doing
do you
other
think
stuff.
this is the fact that Infinity Wars happened? Do you think the Marvel train, he's going to be less involved with Marvel, and now he needs to get this, rekindle this franchise?
Gwyneth Paltrow dropping some
Yeah.
little naughty secrets from the MCU.
Gwyneth.
Gwyneth.
You're not deep enough involved in the MCU to be dropping these.
Go back to
these
Goop.
bombs.
Yeah, you're not Mark Ruffalo. You're not as beloved as that cheeky little.
Go back to Planet of the Apps. A great show.
Yeah. Should we just say what it is?
If you want to look it up, you can.
I think there's potentially
because it could be
a lot of
huge,
spoilers
like
here.
Infinity
Yeah.
War 4 or Avengers 4 spoilers there.
Yeah, I don't think we should talk about that. But
yeah, if you want to figure out what she said, just use Google.
what's that? What are we talking about? Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
Easy to forget, huh?
Yeah. So do you think that this is Downey Jr. wanting to rekindle this? So he's still in the limelight. He's still got that big blockbuster.
I don't know why
This
he'd be
has
doing
nothing
it.
to do with Downey Jr. To be honest.
Don't
He
think so?
doesn't. He doesn't need money anymore. Certainly, I don't know why he'd be.
No,
Why do you say that?
Well, because I don't think that this. I mean, it's never been his project.
Is he officially attached at this point?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't.
Jude Law
I don't
and
think
Downey
it's
Jr.
him going
coming
to the
back.
studio, going like, "All right, guys, let's make Sherlock 3." Like, I just.
But they wouldn't announce it unless, like, so obviously he's signed on.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, it's definitely not
this project
him.
would not go ahead without him saying yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it entirely hinges on them having asked him and him being like, yes, I'll do it. So the reason this exists is because he wants to do it, I guess, to some extent.
Yeah. It to some.
Because
to
Guy
some
Ritchie's
degree.
not involved yet officially.
Guy Ritchie's not involved yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But I mean, I think this
would
more has to
imagine
do
he's
with
going
like
to.
he had the time to do it now because he wouldn't have had the time in the last 8 years while he's ramping up with the MCU.
Well, I mean, he was only in Spider-Man: Homecoming for 8 minutes. So how many other films did he do in 2017?
He did that, The Judge.
the judge.
Yeah, that was like what 2015.
Yeah, I'm kidding. That movie probably
That
took
was
3
like
days
5
to
years
shoot.
ago, man.
Anyway, Sherlock Holmes, that's fun.
I'm
Can't
not.
Cannot wait.
I'm not that pumped.
Cannot wait.
I'm not pumped.
Me either. Number 5, Jordan Peele reveals poster for his next film, Us, starring Lupita Nyong'o and Elizabeth Moss, and perhaps Winston Duke from Black Panther.
I think it's Oos.
What?
No, I'm kidding.
Yes.
Uh,
right, the movie.
This is cool. I'm always excited to hear Jordan Peele news. And the fact that Winston Duke's in this, who was M'Baku from Black Panther, the Mountain King, that's fantastic casting.
Yeah.
I want to see more of that dude. He's a beast.
He's a big man.
I want to see more.
So Jordan Peele's been rumored for like a lot of stuff since Get Out happened. None of them were this.
We've reported
Every
on
month.
at least like 3 or 4 different projects that he's apparently going to do. His next project.
I was hanging out for Akira.
Yeah. But the poster says at the top of it, a new nightmare from the mind of Academy Award winner Jordan Peele.
Now,
That's got some street cred.
the words "new nightmare" seem very specific. Do you think this is a Nightmare on Elm Street film?
Fuck.
Because one of them was called New Nightmares. Every time I see the quote "New Nightmare," I'm like,
I didn't
what?
even think about that.
No,
There's no way this is.
hell no.
But we've got an interesting quote from him here. This is right after Get Out. He was saying, I want to stay in the genre. While I was developing Get Out, I was also simultaneously developing 4 other projects that I call social thrillers. Each one is meant to deal with a different human demon, a different monster that sort of lurks beneath the way that we interact with one another as human beings.
Yeah.
We definitely saw that in Get Out. We definitely saw it was that
Very
horror
much.
film, the social context. I want to see where he goes next with this.
He said, as another quote, he said, "This is that's my sweet spot." So I think tonally it should resemble Get Out. So I think we will get something that as he said, will totally resemble
Little
it.
doses of comedy.
That said, I want to make a completely different movie. I want to address something different than race in the next one. So it'll be very interesting to see how he approaches this.
What sort of social topic he'll delve into?
Yeah. His comedy and obviously his writing has really heavily centered around race for quite a while. So it'll be interesting to see if he can find the same nuances in a different social.
And this
context.
is his sophomore effort. This will be a bit make or break for him because Get Out was obviously such a huge hit. The pressure to follow that up must be immense.
Huge, yeah. What do you guys think of the poster itself?
It's quite nondescript. I wonder if they're what is that called? A Rorschach test? I wonder if there's sort of a duality aspect to this film.
Ooh, the duality of man, perhaps.
Ooh, if you say so. But yeah, I'm mightily excited for this. Really, really want this guy to just continue delivering the goods because I love Get Out.
Correct. Story number 6. This is a big one. This has been doing the rounds quite a lot. Adult Swim has ordered 70 new episodes of Rick and Morty. 70.
Wow, 70, man.
So that's 7 seasons at their current rate.
Aren't they sitting at 13 episodes a season?
Incorrect. So 7
What?
7 seasons, which at the rate they make these will be like, what, 14 years,
40
I guess. Yeah. Insane. An insane
How many
order.
episodes were there in Rick and Morty season 3?
Don't
Let's look
fucking
this
look at
up.
me. I'm trying to find those out now.
I don't have a
I
computer
think
in front of me, so I
10,
can't
I
look
believe.
that up.
10.
10?
Yeah, get fucked.
7 seasons. Man, I thought we were talking about like 4 or 5 seasons here. but
Do you
7
think
seasons,
he'll?
that's
All right, so
massive.
that's traditionally at the rate he's been going. Do you think now that he's been okayed for 70 seasons that he's going to up the episode rate?
70
7
seasons.
seasons.
7 million episodes.
700 seasons.
No, I think 10 is such a good number for them in terms of keeping the output quality high. I don't think they'd stretch beyond that.
I honestly thought Rick and Morty, I thought they were going to be like a 4-5 season kind of show.
Well, we'll see because they've ordered these episodes. Whether they get made or not is another thing.
Yeah, but the Rick and Morty phenomenon exploded even further in season 3. I felt like the reach.
And also fell apart a little bit further in season 3.
definitely
so this is a volatile franchise. I feel anything could happen to it. These are volatile creators. Like Dan Harmon, who knows where he's going to end up.
I think what's interesting is Dan Harmon, he
dead
said
in
in
a Twitter rage.
Yeah.
He said in a tweet that he's basically like, I'm going to be working on this full time now. Previously he's
but
been
Dan
going
says
from
that
project,
a lot about a lot
project
of
to
things.
project to project.
Yeah. Having listened
You
to
guys know a lot more about
having listened to like
Dan
300
Harmon.
episodes of his podcast, he says shit sometimes.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
It doesn't always mean
How
stuff.
far along is he on his book, which he was devoting quite a bit of time to?
Right,
Which he keeps saying on the podcast that he hasn't even started yet.
And then like 3 weeks later, he'll be like, yeah, the publisher got in contact with me. I got to stop saying I haven't started this book yet.
So him saying I'm going to spend all my time with Rick and Morty is
Take it with a grain of salt.
that's what I would do.
Okay. I
Are
took
we
that
are we
as
interested
gospel,
in?
and I was like,
yeah.
"That's the truth."
Are we interested in seeing Rick and Morty go for like? I mean, just beyond, whether it's actually going to happen or how long it's going to take. Do you think that this series has that kind of legs?
Yeah.
I'm not.
Because I mean,
sure.
I could have.
I don't think I could ever run out of stamina on this show. I honestly wouldn't mind if it ended now, just because the fan base is pretty toxic. But I think with a specific number in mind like that, I think they could
do some cool arcs.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and just do some wild, wacky stuff.
I reckon that if he has 70 episodes in mind, he's going to start putting things into like the next episode that are going to come back and like
final.
circling
Yeah.
the final 3 episodes or something like that, which I
Yeah,
think would
for
be
sure.
really cool. To have a long game planned out like that.
And they've been great at that. Like some of the payoffs that happened in season 3, like referencing stuff in season 1, they were fantastic. So they've got a very good grasp on how to do that successfully. I just feel like, I don't know. I really want to watch season 3 again because I watched season 2. I probably watched through that 5 times. I probably watched through season 1 4 times. But season 3, I've only watched each episode sort of 1 or 2 times.
It's worth going through again. I think it's a really good season. And it's such a rewatchable show.
Definitely.
The one thing I worry about, and this is, it's funny that this is where my mind goes because it's also a Dan Harmon creation, is Community, which everyone loved. And the first 2-3 seasons were great. I think that you run or like, let's say the first 30 episodes then.
Sure.
I don't have anything to base the fact that he's going to continue making this great show on. Like, I can see this turning, losing its legs, and it kind of worries me.
Simon was around he was showrunner for seasons 5 and 6, and there was some great stuff in there, and there was some terrible stuff in there.
Which season did he get? Did he leave for?
4 was the season he got booted off for.
Yeah.
And I think there's some really good stuff in there as well.
I mean, every season of Community has something good in it.
Except season 6.
What, to a guy who's never watched a single episode of Community, where do I start?
Season 1, episode 1.
Season 3,
Obviously.
episode
Season
7.
1, episode 6.
Obviously.
Yeah, well, thanks, guys.
Season 1's
Thank you.
really good. I would say start at the beginning.
Had to do that.
Yeah.
Just to rile Connor up.
Yeah.
No, but tell me, what is the best Community? Like, what?
No,
season 1?
because you're going to go watch that.
Season 1's the best?
Yes.
The best full season, yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Easy.
It makes it so easy.
You only
for
ever
me.
watch the first season anyway, so
Exactly.
you're good.
I'm great.
Golden.
Fantastic.
If you make it through the first season in order, I will then give you the episodes that you can watch from there on in.
Okay, you're giving me the master key.
You got to earn it, George. That's it.
Hey.
But, like, I'll be quizzing you. You have to go through the entire first season.
Who is Donald Glover? Donald Glover. Well done.
All right, so Rick and Morty Forever. They nailed it with the first episode. Forever Rick and Morty. And one final little tidbit of news. The internet is having a day of mourning yesterday and today. Brooklyn Nine-Nine has been cancelled by Fox.
That actually really upset me because it's probably one of the most watchable shows on TV right now.
After 5 seasons, got the axe.
Yeah.
It's
Which, I
only-
mean, is a good run.
Yeah,
It's the only Connor-based show that I watch on a regular basis.
Connor-based.
Yeah.
Oh, based on me, like, yeah, okay.
Just like your taste, this is the kind of show that you generally like. And I don't generally go for the American sitcoms, but I fucking love
What other American
Brooklyn
sitcoms
Nine-Nine.
am I really into apart from The Office?
Talk
The
about
Office.
nonstop.
Well, because it's like
There's
9
like
seasons, I'm trying to get
900
through
seasons. God.
I had a very
It's like
interesting
wading through a
argument.
swamp.
Yeah, I had a very interesting. I'm so close to finishing it. It just needs to fucking end. I had a very interesting conversation with someone about Michael Scott and how they thought that he was a genuinely good person. I was like, the first 3 seasons, he's like the worst sort of person. And like, if you go back to those seasons, like even David Brent isn't that bad. David Brent's like,
Wow.
like
he's poor form, but Michael Scott's horrible.
Yeah, that's
Just
why
as
I
a
hate that
human
show.
being in general.
That's why I hate that show.
You haven't watched it.
Yeah, so I'm keeping myself clean,
But that's why. obviously.
untainted.
So-
Fuck The Office, Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
They're already
Yeah.
talking about it being picked up by Hulu. Something like
Yeah.
that's probably going to happen because there's a
Everyone
huge
says
reaction
that,
to
though.
this.
Everyone says that when
And
they
it happens
lose
a lot of the time.
Mm.
And
What
this,
was the most recent one that people wanted to get picked up? They got cancelled.
I don't know. There's,
Oh, it was Rick
it's
and Morty that we were talking about. Yeah, that's right.
never really a good thing. Arrested Development just had, so season 5's on the way. There's a little trailer just came out for that, I think, and they remixed season 4, which is a really interesting idea. Because I don't know if you guys remember season 4. They got you guys didn't watch Arrested Development.
I haven't watched Arrested Development.
I'm not gonna be a dick. Like, oh, I can't believe it, but you should really check it out. It's really fantastic. And in terms of talking about like running jokes and things coming back from like the first episode into the last, no one does it better than Mitch Hurwitz. Anyway, yeah, season 4 was like they couldn't get the cast back together, so they shot a whole bunch of episodes with pretty much one cast member in each.
Okay.
And they've like taken the season and released it on Netflix remixed, so it's all cut together different.
That's a cool little project.
Yeah, I've heard it's still not much better, but
okay,
interesting. Watch the first 3 seasons.
So season 4 was bad.
It was mixed, very mixed.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't get through it.
A lot of people that were very upset with it.
It had already been a while since the show had ended, and they kind of missed it. But now it's coming back again. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. Anyway,
what if that's it for Brooklyn Nine-Nine? Are you happy with that show? The
way that they're looking to wrap it up, which I believe is the wedding with Jake and Amy, seems like an appropriate place to stop if they had to.
Probably better to end
Which
it now.
character's Amy?
Jake and Amy, the two main ones.
Let me have a look.
Santiago,
cool.
And Peralta.
They never call her Amy.
all the time.
I didn't know who you're talking about.
I've only watched season 2, episode 9.
I'm like two seasons in. Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. No shit. That show is so plot and continuity heavy. I'm really upset about this.
I think it would not be the worst thing if this is where it ended. Having said that, I feel like this series has legs for at least another 2-3 seasons.
Having said that, I'm not sure if there's an example of a show that's been picked up by another network that's been a good thing. I don't think it worked for Buffy. I don't think it worked for Community. Can't think of literally any other example, but
yeah.
I think if the show's still the show's still working well, end it now and have good memories of it. Because the last thing you want is a Community or a Scrubs on your hands.
Yeah. Well, I don't understand what you're talking about. The 8 seasons of Scrubs was great.
The 4 seasons of Scrubs, yeah, fantastic. I completely agree. All right, story number 8. This one's real stupid. I don't even want to say it, but Sony sets a release date for Bad Boys for Life, the 3rd Bad Boys film. Story number 9.
Yeah, these are the stories that I was like didn't want to put in, so I should have probably deleted them. But
let's run through it. Have either of you had any vested interest in Bad Boys?
Haven't seen either
since the 90s.
I actually watched them last year.
Wow.
Are they good?
It's interesting to see, as particularly number 1, to see the Michael Bay-isms, but as a first, like early in his career. He still has the rapid fire, kinetic Michael Bay-isms, but it's kind of like a little bit 90s, a little bit like lo-fi.
I haven't seen either of them, so
people
you haven't seen any of them.
No,
really.
I don't think I have either. People like the second one for how just outrageously insane it is.
Yeah, it's fun. You know, Will Smith is great. Martin Lawrence, they're a good duo. But
Will Smith is great. Martin Lawrence,
they're a good duo.
Sums up my feelings on Martin Lawrence. Film
just
career.
go watch
he is
Big Mama's
an
House.
actor that was in that film.
Is he?
Shit just got real.
Bad Boys for Life. What time is it, George?
It's trailer time.
Holy shit!
We got a trailer.
Oh my goodness!
3 or 4 or 5.
We've got some really cool trailers. We've got some
Trailers.
First up, and this is a really cool trailer. At least the prospect of it is The Predator.
Shane Black's the
Shane
Predator.
Black's the Predator. Shane Black the Predator.
Oh.
Oh, excited!
Oh my god, that's fucking great.
What trailer did you guys watch? This is cool.
Really, I was mighty disappointed by this.
People
trailer.
are not liking this trailer.
Mightily disappointed.
This is all right, let me clarify. This is cool, as in like we're finally getting Shane Black's Predator.
I'm so keen for this movie and have been for a good long time.
Not necessarily saying that this trailer was any good. This trailer, I kind of finished it up not knowing what was going on or really anything about this film. I have a feeling that this is going to be very much in the same vein as Venom, where
that's exactly what I was just thinking.
You don't see any kind of payoff
or any kind of story. It's like, what is this
like,
exactly?
What is this? Why is this? They're trying to just give
kind of
tone.
like a 90s trailer vibe to it, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the only reason I'm not coming at this trailer from a negative angle, I guess, is because I don't need a trailer for this film because I'm already so hyped for it. I really love the franchise and I love Shane Black so
There was
much.
no moment in this where I was like, fuck, that's the Predator and he's back, man. And that's what you kind of need from this trailer. It was lacking.
There was that moment where you were like, there was that moment where you're like, fuck, that's Keegan-Michael Key. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was my moment.
The cast in this,
amazing.
I was loving the cast.
Sterling K. Brown from Black Panther. Awesome get. So they got him before, obviously, that movie came out.
And he had the best line in this.
This is very interesting that it seems very centric around the people and less around, the Predator.
It's the same as the first film.
Yeah, and then that's what I was kind of curious about. Are they going to make a movie that's very reminiscent of the first film? Which I think is really hard to do
It'll pay a lot of homage to it.
But that felt very contained.
Shane Black's script has been public knowledge for a little while, I think, and apparently it gets pretty wild in like the third act in terms of universe building and scale. So it'd be very interesting to see where he takes it.
So it's not going to be the first one.
I'm liking the DNA mixing aspect to this. The fact that the Predators go to different planets, absorb DNA from different, highly trained. What the hell's he doing?
Creatures making themselves the ultimate hunters.
Yeah,
they already are. I don't know how I feel. I kind of like the kind of down to earth nature of the Predators. Like they do use some pretty fucked up technology, I guess, which makes things a little unfair.
I'm excited to see where Shane Black goes with that, but I really didn't like the kid in this. I didn't like that aspect of the trailer. I felt that was a
Jacob
really
Tremblay,
weak.
he's great though.
Playing with the ship and the ship, he hits the Jenga tower and the ship comes down. I just thought, as I said, there wasn't that image in that I'm like, fuck, the Predator's coming, and I've got that image in my head for it.
I also wasn't clear about like why this kid has been sent. Like, is this like a missed package? And if
we'll find out. There's going to be a connection to the first film, I believe.
There's a Predator in it.
Like he's going to be little Billy Schaefer, grandson of Dutch Schaefer or something.
Fucking hell.
I think that's fine. I trust Shane Black to do something interesting with it. I don't think the guy's made a bad movie.
No, he hasn't.
Dude, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Iron Man 3,
good.
The Nice Guys, fucking brilliant stuff.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about this movie is it seems to be set at Halloween, which might be the first movie he's made that isn't set at Christmas.
Oh yeah, that's his little continuity thing, isn't it?
Always, yeah.
But yeah, I was disappointed by this trailer, but I think
fair enough.
The prospect, I still believe in Shane Black, so we'll see how we go.
Totally. And Boyd Holbrook, who seems to be the lead in this, he was the bad guy in Logan. I fucking love that dude. That's the only thing I've seen him in, but I really, really liked him in Logan.
He was really good. Every time I see him, I just see discount Draco Malfoy.
I see Draco Malfoy as discount Boyd Holbrook.
He does a little bit, doesn't he? What's next?
Yeah, so I was just going through Shane Black's filmography.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, man.
That
is
gold.
He was an uncredited script doctor for the original Predator.
Yeah, he was an actor in it.
Yep. He's the guy with the glasses.
How fantastic is that?
Mm.
I didn't even realize that.
And Lethal Weapon.
Cool little.
Please excuse me for a moment.
Where are you going? Should we just wait for you? Me and Ben can have a little chat.
Oh, okay.
I hate you.
Oh, shit. Any exciting plans tonight?
I'm going to movies with you and George.
Tonight.
Yeah, I'm meeting up with a friend.
Oh.
Who's been away.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Where you going?
Somewhere in Surrey Hills. Went out last night to a cowboy-themed soiree.
Wow.
Yeah.
Were you dressed as a cowboy?
Not really, but I like how I'm still clicking the microphone. But they had like cowboy get-up gear when you walked in. So even if you didn't want
chaps, I assume. Yeah.
Yes. What other kind of cowboy parties do you go to? Next in our trailer time.
Oh, you haven't started talking about it. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome. I'm assuming you're cutting all that out because that was garbage chat.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't take the.
I thought we were having a nice conversation.
I didn't take the time down, so
You'll figure it out.
it's staying.
Impulse.
Which one was this again?
Jumper.
Yeah.
Let's actually look up what this is.
Yeah. You mentioned after the trailer, Ben, that this looked like Jumper 2 or the sequel to Jumper. And I just assumed that you were talking about the look, which it has that look. But you're saying that it actually might be the sequel.
Yeah, some kind of spiritual sequel or set in the same world.
Yeah. Which, as weird as it sounds, I actually like the idea of. I have a weird liking for the Jumper film.
Yeah.
Odd.
Yeah, that's very odd.
Yeah, it's based on the book by that guy, Stephen Gould, who did write Jumper, the book series. So I assume it's set in the same universe or something. They mention the main character's father at some point. Perhaps that is Hayden Christensen.
Or white-haired Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, and this
love
is
that look for that character in that.
And this is a
original.
This is a TV series. It's a YouTube Red original series, and it is at least in part directed by Doug Liman, who did direct Jumper as well.
Okay, so yeah, we are looking at the very least a spiritual sequel.
Funny how the trailer mentions from the director of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but not from the director of Jumper.
Jumper, yeah.
That's a bizarre. And didn't he do
Born Identity?
And this is a TV series, not a
YouTube Red series, as I said.
Yeah.
It's now we're all just gonna sit here wondering things.
I'm just trying to remember what he did. Edge of Tomorrow.
Yes.
I love Edge of Tomorrow.
Everyone loves Edge of Tomorrow. But yeah, actually, I find a lot of people have a soft spot for Jumper. I only watched it like last year, I think, for the first time.
Oh, really?
I'd always liked the look of it. Yeah, I'm like, because I really liked Hayden Christensen when I was like young, just because I was dumb and liked Star Wars. But I never got around to seeing it, and I watched it, and then elements of it work very well. Other parts of it are trash, but
it's not the worst.
Absolutely not. But it never fully delivers on its premise. But there's some good stuff in there. And I still like Hayden Christensen. I always like him. I don't know why.
Yeah, the fact that I can't remember a single thing about this trailer means that it obviously didn't make impact.
Yeah, I've looked up a little bit of the premise. It seems as though they're going to delve into some pretty heavy topics like sexual assault and...
Cool.
What?
Whoa.
That was a sarcastic cool.
Yeah.
Have you guys watched any YouTube Red original content?
No.
I don't think so.
See, that's the thing. You probably have, and you've forgotten it.
I will not be subscribing.
Jesus Christ!
Make
it a stand.
It's
I hate
also
that ad that comes up. The YouTube Red. I'm like, fuck you, YouTube Red. Leave me the fuck alone.
Is that the one for music with no ads?
Yes.
Even when you really...
Yes.
Yeah.
Leave me alone. I hate that song.
I like that YouTube is kind of branching into this. I think it's interesting.
I think it is too. I don't think they've made anything good though yet.
No,
Dan Harmon made a show, and I watched like a couple episodes.
Really? Is that the Gamers one?
Yeah. Good Game.
Yeah.
He produced and like wrote it, I think, or something, and it starred like two of my favorite YouTubers. And my two favorite YouTubers, and I was just like, this is whatever.
Yeah. I don't think they have the pull or the their content is YouTube content.
And they all star YouTubers who generally aren't actors.
Yep. I think this could be the beginning of something very interesting though. I think that YouTube is starting to, I mean, like, let's remember YouTube is Google. And so this could be Google's play into original content, which makes it even more interesting because Apple is trying to make that play as well.
And YouTube working with Doug Liman, I guess, legitimizes this a lot more than some of the other stuff they've done.
So I think this potentially might be their first good piece of content.
But probably not, because it's like 15 years later, Jumper sequel TV series.
Yeah.
Remember that movie Jumper? Let's do a series on that.
Yeah.
Damn.
Did always want a sequel to it.
Anyway, speaking of series that people may or may not be excited for.
Luke Cage Season 2.
Mm-hmm.
The trailer has dropped.
Yeah.
I really enjoy this trailer.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Good front half. Back half.
Just like Luke Cage, Season 1.
Pretty much.
Are you being serious?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just was like, this was 30 seconds longer than it needed to be. Just like action, scene, person, scene, action, scene, person. I was
That's
like,
a trailer.
Fuck,
That's
man.
literally what a trailer is.
No, it doesn't have to be like that.
No, I like this trailer. I think I am more apologetic for, or not apologetic, but like I think I defend Luke Cage season 1 more than most people. I really didn't feel as much of the drag. I watched it very differently than I normally watch it, though.
Weren't you both quite into Luke Cage season 1? Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah. See, I thought it just fell off a cliff.
See, I didn't watch it like I would have normally watched it, which is like binge it like 3 or 4 episodes at a time, you know, kind of.
I didn't either because it took me so fucking long to get through.
Oh, really? Yeah, I don't know. I really liked the way that it went.
Oh man, I like if they just cut like 3 or 4 episodes out. Maybe if the episodes weren't quite as long.
Yeah, Jesus, George.
Sorry.
It would have been okay. George, we've lost George. He's dead. He's gone.
I think that that happens with a lot of the Netflix series.
Pretty much all of them, but that one I felt it especially keenly on.
Yeah, well, I felt it more on fucking Iron Monkey.
Iron Fist was bad from the beginning, though. At least,
yeah, consistent.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, this looks interesting. It'll be interesting to see if they take that criticism on board. I mean, Netflix in general hasn't taken that criticism on board.
Yeah. I'm not sure if this is 100%, but I think this season might only be 8 episodes.
That'd be cool.
I did see this. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's 100% confirmed, but that would be very good because even the seasons I've liked, if they were shorter, they'd probably just be better.
Do you know there's a certain irony in the fact that you have characters like Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, which are on face value less interesting than your Captain America and your Iron Man and all that. But at the end of the day, you're meant to watch 3-4 times more screen time for these characters than you do with, quote unquote, more interesting characters.
Yeah, I would say the characters are inherently less interesting, but the stories they're telling are much smaller scale, and you could see how you'd want to dedicate more time to something about the world ending than
so it's a weird, like, I get
protecting the streets.
I get the intricacies of it, but when you kind of take a step back and look at it, you're like, oh, that's weird that they would spend over 100, or whatever it is, 600 minutes on just Luke Cage.
Yeah, I don't get where they're getting these like episode quotas from. I don't know why they feel like they can't just try and make something better.
Going back to that 8 episode thing, like that didn't work out for the Defenders.
But the Defenders would not have been better if it was 13 episodes.
No way.
So that's not the issue. Like Defenders was better because it wasn't 13 episodes.
Yes, yeah. Yes.
I've hit. I don't know about you guys. I didn't watch Jessica Jones. I think I've hit fatigue with this.
Yeah, I
series.
watched the first 3 and really enjoyed them, and then I just haven't watched them.
The old George special.
The old George special.
Yeah. You should have started at episode 6.
That's why I like movies, man, because at least I can get through it, you know?
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I wasn't even interested in watching the first episode of Jessica Jones. That trailer really turned me off that series.
Yeah, I don't think they promoted it in the best way.
Yeah, and I don't know where they want that series to go.
Season 3's coming, I believe.
Yeah.
Season 3's
keep making more of all these things. I'd like to see if at all the Netflix universe deals with the events of Infinity War. I would love it if Luke Cage just disappears halfway through this season and they got to figure it out from there.
Yeah.
I just think that would be really bold, and Netflix could be the place that they could actually get away with some shit like that. I like the look of the bad guy in this, Bushmaster.
Yeah, he looks cool.
Awesome name. He doesn't get much screen time, but just the initial meeting with him and Luke Cage looks really
boogeyman,
cool.
Like it's cool. I like it. Yeah. Like there's kind of witch doctor.
That spinning kick he does.
Yeah, it's like
brutal.
Capoeira or something. It looks really cool.
He's stolen Daredevil's kick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I like the look of this. I think they've done a better job of marketing this than they did Jessica Jones. I will check it out.
Cool.
Last one is Searching.
Fuck, I've forgotten this one again. Oh,
this
yeah,
is
the John Cho.
Skype movie starring John Cho.
Harold from Harold and Kumar as a dad. That's funny, man.
Sad
that initially really tickled me.
I really like him as an actor.
I love John Cho.
I think he should be in more things.
Yeah.
There was a really great kind of internet phenomena probably about 2 years ago where Asian actors not getting roles was really kind of in the forefront of the conversation.
Then we fixed it, and we never did talk
and
about
it's all
it
good
again.
now. And there was someone that basically photoshopped John Cho into leading roles of a bunch of different films and a bunch of different genres as well. And every single time I was like, I would watch that movie.
Like, hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
I was really keen to see that.
Yeah, Cho's great. He can carry a film easy. So this movie is what's that horror movie? It's
Unfriended?
Unfriended. So
I
it's
really like that.
all set on a computer screen, as if you're just looking at someone, like a recording of someone's monitor.
An Apple screen
Windows
in
opening,
particular.
closing, Skype and FaceTime and all that. Yeah, and it looks like a bit of a one-man show with John Cho.
Yep.
Which I think is a really cool idea.
I always like these kind of movies. It kind of reminds me of Phone Booth from the 2000s. You know, like set in a very contained area, a little bit different, thriller,
like a play almost.
I don't know why I'm not a fan of these styles of films.
Have you seen any?
Did you see Unfriended?
I watched. No, there was
Skype
another
one?
one. There was another one that was very similar, like
Okay.
exact same concept.
Was it a Facebook thing as well? Like was that the one about the witch? Like someone
Unfriended. Oh, God, I can't even remember
Unfriended.
it, to be
There's
honest.
another one. There's another one
Is there?
before Unfriended. I feel
There's
like.
one with I think it's
where
either
the-
Daniel Radcliffe
The
or
girl kills herself.
That's
'Cause-
Unfriended.
That's Unfriended?
Yeah.
So what's the one with the witch? It doesn't matter.
It doesn't. Anyways, my point is, I don't like the concept.
Oh, wasn't that one anthology one that we watched? That was a shorter component of like
Maybe.
anthology. That's
Who
the
can
word.
say? There's definitely been at least 2 full movies that are very similar on this.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm intrigued by this. I didn't think the trailer fully sold it to me, but as I said, I like these kind of things. I'm
But
willing
didn't
to
you
go
hear
for
this
the
is
ride.
the movie that's going to change everything forever?
Fuck. I mean, it said it in the trailer, but now you've told me, I'm ready.
Those hype quotes sell me. I'm like, fuck yeah, all right.
Yeah, you're
Change
really
everything.
setting expectations on a very high level. I mean, like,
Yeah.
best of luck
For
to
a
you.
pretty low scale film. No, I'm keen. I really liked kind of more experimental stuff like this. I'm excited to see
Best
it.
today.
Yeah,
I think it was
Batman.
Open Windows. I think it's the film. Is that a found footage techno thriller film? So very much like using webcams and stuff with Elijah Wood. Not Daniel Radcliffe. Sorry.
Oof.
I love how they get mixed up together, though. I think that's so funny because they look so much alike and they're both like iconic for different reasons. Yeah, I feel like I'm having new technology and a new way of looking at the world like shoved down my throat. I'm like, fuck off. I don't need that. Like, I don't need to be told about how technology is running our lives in such a blatant and obvious way.
I don't think that was the angle this was taking.
I mean, whether it is or it isn't, I feel like that's what the director's trying to tell me or something. And I'm just like, oh God, I get that you're trying to approach filmmaking from a different angle and all that. And that's great and all, but just use a fucking camera. It's worked for the last 100 years.
Oh, you're such a grouch. I like people doing different things. I'm keen to see this.
Time to jump into the Falcon. Lando's
is that
Falcon.
where we're leaving it off?
Have you never done the Falcon before?
I think I've done the Falcon like every
Eight
second week.
times,
But
yeah.
we're in Lando's
But
Falcon this
is,
week.
yeah, this is the clean one.
This is the clean one. Georgia Star Wars Corner is happening right about now. We got some Star Wars news. Fuck, man.
As soon as he figures it out.
Solo's out.
Well, it's not out. It's at its
It's
premiere.
out.
It's premiered.
You can go to see it at
What
the
do you
cinema,
have
right?
to
I watched it this morning.
Oh, you massive brain fart right now. The premiere for Solo: Star Wars Story was held, and we've got some initial reactions. I'm going to read out a couple here. Perry Nemiroff from Collider. There's some fun to be had with Solo: A Star Wars Story. Aaron Reich was solid and really enjoyed Glover and Waller-Bridge as L3, but not convinced we needed a young Han Solo movie. Was really hoping for higher stakes, more energy, and depth. And another one here from Steve Weintraub. Another thing about Solo: A Star Wars Story that really stood out are the action set pieces. They were great and so well choreographed. Also thought Alden Ehrenreich was perfectly cast as Han Solo. Trust me, entire cast was fantastic. Can't wait to see again. Now, across the board, everyone is saying Alden's pretty good. Lando has just blown it out of the park. He's just completely nailed it.
Yeah.
But on the whole, a lot of these reactions, they are very mixed. And, you know, Disney gets in the Star Wars punters for these. You know, they get the Collider Jedi Councils in there. And, you know, Rogue One, The Last Jedi, Force Awakens, there's always glowing reactions. They're always like, yeah, Star Wars is back. Everything's dandy. This is the first one out of these releases since Disney took over that I feel like very muted. It seems a lot more like
Maybe they're
mixed.
trying to
Mixed
set
is the word.
expectations at a more reasonable level.
I don't
Because
think reviewers would do that though.
hell
Reviewers
no.
wouldn't do that.
The reviewers, especially out of these events, they want to say the best things they possibly can about these movies because, to some extent, they want to keep getting invited. Yeah. So, when these first reactions are somewhere in the middle, that's when we get Batman v Superman. Because remember how the reactions were to that? They were mostly pretty good, and some were like, yeah, no, I'm not sure how to feel about it just yet. So it's pretty good, I think.
Ben Affleck was good.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that this is what's happened with Solo. So I'm a little bit worried.
So you reckon that it's trash and people are just trying to find the best out of...
Not trash, but a mixed bag, maybe.
Mixed bag.
Yeah. I would not be surprised about that. It's pretty much what we've been saying since day one. This movie had so much going against it.
It's being manhandled in the editing bay.
Yeah, first and foremost, the very concept of it is something that I don't think should have been brought to the table in the first place. I don't know how anyone thought that was a good idea, that they should do a young Han Solo film.
You know what they should have done? They should have done a young Lando film.
Totally.
And Han Solo turns up.
I would be more excited for that, just because it's less of a...
shoved in your face kind of thing.
Yeah, like it's so much...
It's so less like we've crunched the numbers. Market research says that Han Solo is the most popular. Let's do a film.
Yeah.
That's what Solo's always felt like.
I would be far more excited to see Lando, because you have so much more to work with Lando as well. Realistically, he only shows up for a very small kind of section of the films, and his character is really ambiguous. Like, he's a dick, but he's also a good guy. You're kind of all over the spot. So you
nice
could
capes.
Yeah, and so you could really just play around with that character a lot more, because with the Han Solo one, you have an endpoint that you have to have in, and you have to then start thinking about all right, well, he's seen as one way, so do we show a different Han Solo that eventually morphs into the Harrison Ford, or do we show the same Han Solo that people want to see and that they like? And I just reckon that's hassles that is inevitably going to muddy the waters when you're creating a film.
I completely agree.
And Han Solo's arc is in the 70s. It's in the original movies.
Yeah.
So making a movie about him before that, they kind of hamstrung.
Yeah. It's such an important arc, and it's such a great moment when he comes swooping down in the trench run.
Yeah.
That's... I think you're going to undermine that moment, potentially.
Definitely. I think they're going to look at the reactions of this film, judge on what we've already seen, and realize their mistake as well.
Yeah, hopefully. Oh, God, yeah.
I'm still holding out hope. There's still a lot of positives in here. They're saying, on the whole, it seems good. I'm just concerned about where I'm going to fall.
Yeah, I have a feeling that I will react similarly to this as I reacted to Rogue One, which is very middling. I don't think it's the worst thing to grace our screens in the last 10 years. I certainly don't think it's the best.
I hope I enjoy it more than Rogue One.
You really enjoyed Rogue One the first time you saw it, though.
I didn't.
I remember coming out.
We've talked about this so many times.
We came out of that film and you were keen on it.
We're not going down this path.
You have said,
we talked about Rogue One not too long ago, and you didn't mention that at all.
Yeah, I did. I mentioned this every time that you soured on it, and you've agreed with me. You keep rewriting this history that you came out of it.
Maybe I do, maybe I don't. But what I do know is Jon Favreau has revealed when his Star Wars show will be set. We've been talking about Jon Favreau is doing a live action Star Wars television series, and we've got a tweet from Dan Carey here. Jon Favreau confirms that his live-action Star Wars series takes place 7 years after the Battle of Endor between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. Will feature all new characters, use cutting-edge tech a la The Jungle Book. Story coming to the Nerdist. I shouldn't have read that last bit. Fuck the Nerdist.
Whoa. Is that where the animated series is set, in between those two? Yeah.
The Resistance. So it's interesting that Disney are now starting to fill in the gaps. And we've always talked about how there's very little context in The Force Awakens.
Has the Resistance, or wait, has the Resistance come out yet?
No. Okay. Later this year.
Is there any other kind of stuff that's in between?
The books?
Comics? There's a few comics, there's a few books.
Has anything addressed why Jedis have astoundingly been forgotten? Basically, wizards were forgotten in 30 years or whatever it is.
Smear campaign by the Empire.
Yeah,
pretty much. They control information. That's
probably what it will
fascist, be. Yeah.
Half the people alive still remember
they destroyed the hologram library.
But I'm keen to see more of this period. I think it's an interesting time of the Star Wars canon to explore.
What do you think it will center around?
I would say probably the formation of the Resistance, maybe. Actually,
Known
well,
characters?
the Resistance anime is probably more centered around this. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But I want to see more in that time period.
I'm so in my nerd phase shift that I'm constantly going through. I'm just like so out of Star Wars right now. Like I just have no interest in seeing anything about it whatsoever.
I know what you mean.
After the high I was just on a little while ago.
Yeah.
Like it's all about the MCU right now. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure, but as I said, that time period needs more explanation.
definitely.
Like, and the Last Jedi still skimped on the politics kind of thing. And I want a bit more.
There's a lot of things that the Last Jedi, or sorry, not even the Last Jedi, Force Awakens,
yeah.
skimped out on that would have gone a long way to explaining what the fuck's happened in the last couple decades.
I need to know the trade negotiation situation right now. What are the Nemoidians up to?
Yeah, I think that there should have been some more context in that.
Well,
Last piece of news, you skipped one.
yeah, I skipped one. It's an Obi-Wan rumor.
Threw him under the bus there.
Yeah, you threw me
George,
under
you're
the
not
bus.
reading it right.
We're running overtime.
Yeah.
We got to get to this Avengers Q&A. Yeah, we
Okay,
got a
yeah.
rumor. Obi-Wan Kenobi movie in pre-production, scheduled to start filming in 2019. Listen,
Same thing.
you know what? I didn't want to talk about this because I want to see if Solo works. If Solo doesn't work, then for me, that's 2-0 for a Star Wars stories that haven't worked for my tastes. So I want to see how that goes, and then we can see if an Obi-Wan film is viable.
I think the one thing that they'd have going for them with the Obi-Wan is Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
And like, hello there.
Yeah.
Like that's going to be the draw for that, and that's what people want. And,
Very
and
true. Very true.
I would get sucked into that because I want to see him in that universe again. Because I out of everything.
If they play up the meme angle and the whole movie is hello there and higher ground stuff,
yes!
I would love it so much. The whole movie is him developing his higher ground technique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go on to question of the week.
Question of the week.
So we got a question here from Joel Bahari. Joel, thanks so much, man.
Really good question.
Really good question. So just full disclaimer here, guys. Infinity War spoilers coming at you. So if you haven't seen it, thanks so much for listening to this episode. We'll catch you next time. Go see Infinity War. What are you doing with your life? Here's a question. Hey guys, just a quick question for you about the next lineup of MCU films. Avengers 4 comes out in May 2019, and Spider-Man comes out only 2 months later in July. How the hell are they going to promote it without spoiling Avengers 4? I know that the Han Solo movie has had a 4-month promo campaign, and it seems to have worked for them so far. But a 2-month advertising campaign seems ridiculous.
I have a theory on how they're going to do this.
A really good question, man. Thanks so much for sending that in.
Thanks for sending that in. So the Rosso brothers,
Editors.
they've essentially confirmed, or at least alluded to, one of the major theories about the Soul Stone and characters being stuck in the Soul Stone. Their willingness to kind of confirm or not confirm certain theories, and they're almost the flippant nature in which they've said, oh yeah, that person's dead, or no, that person isn't dead, makes me think that most of the theories are going to be confirmed in the trailer for Avengers 4. And I have a feeling that Spider-Man will come up in the trailers for Avengers 4. Like, I don't think that they're going to shy away from this at all. So in terms of, how do you, at a high level spoiler, like, oh, Spider-Man's alive, I think that they're going to come out with that right away. Like, I don't think they're going to shy away from it. Their willingness to talk about, who's dead, who's not now, yeah, just makes me think that they're going to be, that there's something else brewing for Avengers 4 that's the big reveal, and I don't think it has anything to do with whether Spider-Man lives or dies.
It's such an interesting situation.
My take is, I think they could potentially set Homecoming 2 in between Homecoming and Infinity War.
Yeah.
I think that
wouldn't be the first time.
It could potentially be, I mean, they're doing that with Ant-Man. Ant-Man's set before Infinity War. So do you just kind of throw in a few references in the trailer to say, oh, Thanos is definitely not
coming.
He's not here yet.
Thanos isn't here. They're just like sitting around at school like, thank God Thanos isn't here yet.
Wait, Thanos? Who's that?
They could, that seems like a solid idea. They could even fake that. They could just say it's set before Infinity War and then, fuck it.
Hulk didn't turn up in Infinity War at the end in Wakanda, and that was one of the iconic images from the trailer.
A lot of stuff from that trailer.
They're willing to pull in Mr. X willy-nilly.
Totally. I would love to see a marketing campaign that for the first few months had trailers that just didn't have Peter Parker in them.
Yeah.
Just fuck it.
It's an interesting concept to just try and
Ned.
like give you tone.
Just do Ned.
So what I think is going to happen here
Spider-Ned.
is what we're not taking into account is that Spider-Man Homecoming 2, whatever it will eventually be called, is a Sony film to a large degree, which means Sony's going to be handling the marketing for it. So they're probably just going to be like, we don't give a shit. Because remember the Homecoming marketing,
yeah,
they spit so much stuff into that.
Now.
Yeah.
So many more TV spots than
So
what
like
Marvel
they put
normally
so
do.
much of that movie in there. Everything except the Vulture twist was in that.
I think-
Like the finale was in the first trailer, I think.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way that Marvel would allow that to happen.
I don't think there's any power in the universe that can stop Sony fucking something up. So I would not be surprised at all.
I think even Sony is not dumb enough to cross Marvel like that. I just don't think that they'd have even the legal. I think Marvel would be smart enough about that to put legal barriers for Sony on spoilers and stuff like that.
At the same time, I really think they might just promote this movie like normal because I don't see a situation where they're restricted from doing that. Like I know Spider-Man and the MCU is that if any franchise doesn't need a marketing campaign, it's them, but it doesn't happen. Like when it comes to spoilers in trailers, they don't really care. Like if you watch Thor Ragnarok, the fact that Hulk is there in the film is presented as a twist, but he was in every trailer.
Yeah,
And rewatching it, I wish I didn't know that because that's such a good moment.
I watched it with someone that didn't know that.
See,
and
amazing.
it was so
Just
enjoyable
like,
just watching them see that.
Yeah. So as interesting as this situation, this question is, I don't think it's going to factor too much into the marketing. I think they're going to ignore it.
One of the other things that I think is interesting is talking about you, George, when you said that it might be set in between, like in a different time.
Yeah.
I think that would be the ballsiest move ever because
Really?
they could then potentially actually kill Spider-Man in Infinity War.
Oh, yeah.
And then, everyone that's saying, oh, but he's got to,
come back.
he's going to come back because he's got to go do the Homecoming
Phase
2.
4 is set before Phase 3. Or like during.
Yeah, I reckon that would be sick because then they'd just
nuts.
be like, oh yeah, by the way, his movie doesn't have any bearing on whether he lives or dies in this series. And then you're just like, oh fuck, maybe he is gone.
So do you think if you get Avengers 4 and nobody comes back and they're definitively like, shit, everyone is permanently dead, and then we find out that everything's going to be set before that, do you think that would help the box office of those films? Like, would people show up for Black Panther 2 knowing that he's already dead?
Oh, maybe, yeah. I don't know. That's a tough one.
Yeah, and like every Phase 4 movie ends with just like a little in memoriam.
I would go to those just out of respect. I'd be like, fuck you guys. Like,
It's like a
that's
funeral service for every
well
character.
done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think my ultimate prediction is that they'll give away a lot of these predictions in the trailer for Avengers 4.
Okay. Well, Joel, thanks for the question, man. Hope we answer that well. And if you guys have a question, hit us up in the comments below. We'll answer it on next week's show or Facebook, Instagram, and I always say it, Homing Pigeon. Fellas, what an epic episode that was. So many exciting things on the horizon. And we're heading off to Avengers soon because it's going to be good fun.
It's exciting.
All right, guys. Always a pleasure. We'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in, Connor.
That's what I do.
Thanks for tuning in, Benny.
I'd never listened to the show, but no,
Thanks for tuning in, George.